Chaleen Botha, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tracy.
Is there one thing you feel that recruiters could be more honest about?
I wish more recruiters would have been more focused on service and not having to chase those targets. It's really about service to us.
What role has family played in your business decisions and, just taking things to another level?
I think it's a support of my family and that they really want this business to work. And I think they saw in me that I've found my true passion. Although I'm an accountant, this is really where my heart beats best, and they want to support me being happy.
Hello and welcome to the Real Biz Life Chronicles, where we discuss all things business, branding and life from the Horizon Digital podcast recording studio here in Perth. I'm your host, Tracy Fryer, the founder of Design Studio Perth, and to celebrate the launch of Season 2 of the show, Design Studio Perth is offering all our listeners a free brand discovery. So if you find yourself frustrated with your current branding, use the link in the show notes below to book in a time to have a chat. Now, the Real Biz Life Chronicles is on a mission to become one of Australia's leading business podcasts, but in order to do that, we please need your help. If you do enjoy today's episode, we please ask that you like and subscribe to our channels below, or simply share this episode with a fellow business owner who's potentially going through a bit of a rough time and needs some inspiration. My guest today once chased the Northern Lights with her daughter, risking bear encounters deep in the Finnish woods. And that same boldness defines how she shows up in business. After uprooting her life twice from South Africa to China, then to Australia, she knows what it means to rebuild, reimagine, and rise again. Her journey from accountancy to finding her own recruitment agency is a testament to resilience, reinvention, and a real-world hustle. Friends and colleagues describe her as warm, determined, and fiercely loyal. What they probably wouldn't tell you, but we will, is she's a master of crochet, adores caravanning, and can spend hours lost in inspirational true story films. And behind all the ambition and achievement is a woman who is fiercely anchored by the unconditional love and support she gives her family. This episode, it's about chasing the life you actually want, through the fog of uncertainty, the weight of migration, and the fire of entrepreneurship. It's about the values, visas, and the real people behind the polished LinkedIn profiles. I connected with this beautiful lady around about 2 years ago, and I can hands down say she is one of the most genuine people you will ever meet. She's now taken an even bolder step with Design Studio Perth, and we're working on her rebrand. I can't wait to see what this incredible woman does next. Chaleen Botha, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Of course. I'm looking forward to our chat, Chaleen. I think what would be great if you could give our listeners a bit of an insight into what it is exactly that you do.
I think I just make a difference every day by assisting my candidates and my clients in their journey to find employment, and also my clients to find staff that really makes impact in their business. We also do resumes, but we don't reformat resumes that you'll often find. We really apply a lot of critical thinking in the resumes that we write for people, and we really spend a lot of time to unearth those golden nuggets of our candidates and our clients. And then something I also quite enjoy is coaching someone to be confident in an interview or whatever journey they're on with their career.
Chaleen, I know in my chats with you, you mentioned that you actually coach older ladies to get back into the workforce. How do you find this impacts them going back to work after their confidence has taken quite a dip?
I believe that there is a time with women especially that they find it very hard to believe in themselves, or they might have been out of the workforce for a long time. And the impact that with myself being in business and coaching them is quite big because they just need someone to believe in them and to really show them what they are capable of. And there's nothing better to get a 58-year-old that send me a text and say, I've just landed a role at a major university. And that's
awesome.
Happened.
And Chaleen, take us back. What inspired you to start Chaleen Botha Recruitment?
I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always worked for myself since 25 years ago. But I think what really inspired me was coming to Australia and realizing how incredibly hard it is to find work, number one, and number two, to really know what works, to find the right position, to be able to get back into your career. And then finally, I think was a friend who said to me, you can do it. I believe in you. That's really what took me over the line.
And how have you found being an immigrant has shaped your approach to hiring and helping others get hired?
I think I really understand what immigrants are going through, being an immigrant myself, and making it my last mission in Australia to really get to grips with what is it that you need to know and how do you need to define your Australian value proposition? Because Australian employers, they grew up here, they understand the qualifications, the skills, the experience requirements, and they don't really understand where you're coming from. They didn't live there, they didn't work there.
And for our listeners, what exactly is the Australian, proposition?
The Australian value proposition is a bridge between what you did and defining it in a way that an Australian employer, a hiring manager or a recruiter in Australia will identify to see this is what relates to how we see an HR manager in Australia or an accountant or whether it's an engineer.
And Chaleen, I know that your family and yourself made me so welcome in your home, and you shared a story where you helped someone through a 2-year visa process at no extra cost. What drives this kind of patience and persistence?
I think it's the moment that they call you and say, we got the visa, and they can start their new life in Australia, and you know that not only their life, but their whole family, the husband, the children's lives will never, ever be the same, and that it's a journey that they chose for themselves.
And I think something that we've often discussed, when you help someone come to Australia, you completely impact many, many generations to come, which is so powerful.
Definitely. It's a legacy that this mom, for instance, will leave to her kids because they will always know that their mom persisted and she had the resilience and the grit. And to now continue following this family and seeing how they're just embracing everything Australia's got to offer, this is really what drives me to have stayed the 2 years.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I absolutely love Australia and the opportunity that we have here. Being from South Africa myself, I don't think I would have ever had half the opportunity. Probably wouldn't even be speaking to you on a podcast if my family hadn't immigrated.
No, absolutely. I cannot begin to describe how much love I have for Australia and just embracing the people, the culture, the opportunities, and the impact it's had on my life.
Chaleen, I was so moved by your family and how much love and support you all have for each other. I could really feel it when we had our brand discovery. What role has family played in your business decisions and, just taking things to another level?
I think it's a support of my family and that they really want this business to work. And I think they saw in me that I've found my true passion. Although I'm an accountant, this is really where my heart beats best, and they want to support me being happy.
So you were an accountant before, and did you mention that there was a moment that, you realized that you needed to do your own thing?
Yes, I had my own practice in South Africa. I worked for myself, and then I had to leave that, going to China. I couldn't actually continue my practice there. Coming to Australia, I really found it hard to be even employed as an accounting assistant. I think it's because I completely did not have the skills to define my Australian value proposition to an employer. I didn't know how to articulate that. And finally being able to work for myself is where I've found my true calling.
Now, I know you guys have quite a niche offering in that you source candidates to help with those, I guess, roles that are kind of, outside of Perth. And I mean, walk us through, what does it look like in terms of the labour shortages that Australia is currently experiencing? How does your service offering help in that regard?
I'm not sure if people actually realise how severely there are shortages, especially in allied health, in doctors and nurses, especially in regional and rural areas. The need is dire in those areas. So we do tend to assist in our practices in those areas, and not only to be able to have a business, but also to make a difference. Apart from that, there's a big shortage of tradespeople in Australia, and that's really across Australia. We all know about the housing shortage, and it really comes back to the shortage of tradespeople, qualified tradespeople. So we tend to find our niche in these regional, rural areas, and we also quite enjoy recruitment in administration, accounting roles, also in Perth. But because often you cannot find people onshore for these roles, we have to, after point in time, start looking overseas. So that's really where we have to find our niche.
And Chaleen, you mentioned make a difference. I'd love to know, what does that mean for you?
It's where you impact someone's life for the better, where they see themselves in a way that they've never seen themselves before, believing in themselves. It's just where a family really struggled. The husband, for instance, didn't have a job. He was let go after 15 years and then coming to Australia, and he is so sought after for his skills. He's earning a good salary. The family has had their first brand new car forever. I believe that is really what making a difference sounds like or looks like to me.
Yeah. And so you recruited them for a role in Australia?
Yes, I definitely, did.
Another thing I also want to highlight is that I also think people don't realise how dire things actually are in South Africa as well, and the opportunities are so few and far to come by. And this is why I'm a very big fan of what you do, in that you do offer those opportunities, to South Africans, to really, above all else, right, whether they're South African, Australian, whatever the case may be, just really sourcing the right candidate for the role.
Yes, and currently the unemployment rate in South Africa is 40%. Yeah. To put it in perspective, unemployment rate in Australia is 4%.
Wow.
So it's completely a very dire situation. I also recruit people from, Asia, the UK, New Zealand, but it tends to be often that the migrants are the people who are willing to live regionally and rurally, and that's often, looking locally first. Obviously, I want to honour our people onshore first, but it's just a situation where the clients have been looking for a year and they cannot find anyone locally.
I've heard that, some roles can take even 2 to 3 years to fill, so it's a long-term game pretty much.
Definitely. I had up in I think Kingaroy in Queensland, where a facility of occupational therapists actually had to close. And that day when they called me and let me know, I was actually quite emotional because I realized those people in the aged care facility now will not be able to have access to occupational therapists, which they need.
Yeah.
And this is the reality of us not being able to find people for these areas.
Chaleen, now this next note I am rather envious of, and I know that's not a good thing. You have a Facebook group that you started that now has 50,000 members. I'd love to know how you've done that. Please share your secrets.
It's really not a secret. It started with my daughter and myself being the first two members. And it was born out of the need of, I'm an accountant. Why doesn't anyone want to employ me even as accounting assistant? What am I doing wrong? And yeah, the group started from the two. And, it's just been consistently and persistently building up the group over the years.
And Carla and you have such a wonderful relationship. I think it's so great to have that support. You've got a wing woman who's by your side and your husband's the same as well.
No, definitely. I'm very happy that Carla's very much looking forward to taking the business over one day. My husband being our business manager and also excellent at writing professional resumes, supporting me with legal contracts, etc. And then I've also always had other people in the business who've supported me for over 10 years already.
Now I'm going to ask the question all our listeners are wondering. Your Facebook members group, walk us through, how did you make that happen? It was Carla and you slowly started adding people or attracting like-minded. Do you mind to walk us through?
I think it was probably the first group there was for migrants, particularly Southern Africans, find a job in Australia. So it was in the name and it was meeting a need for people, providing information and working at getting the community to put jobs onto the group. And to this day, it's where people know about a job somewhere in Australia and they put the advertisement on the group. So that's the one aspect. The other one was really sharing information on what works. How do you land a job? Tips consistently on the group. And I think it grew organically, but it was work that took every day. And I remember we used to often spend weekends on adding the members and making sure we're vetting the members. I think the secret of groups that grow and do well are groups that have a focus. Our focus has always been jobs in Australia, number one. And number two is that we've never allowed advertising on the groups, and we've been very consistent with that. So people saw this group as a group where you will get value from, and that's really what people want and where they will be able to help each other. So I really ignited a situation where the community helped each other, and it was not for gain. I think to this day, it's not for profit. We're not trying to get people's email addresses or any gain from the group.
And what role has community played in shaping your business?
Everything. I've always been a very big community person. I grew up with a mom who worked in the community, and I just love networking. I had my journey in doing LinkedIn profiles, and where I built quite a big community on there. I believe I've got over 6,000 followers at the moment on LinkedIn.
Another thing I'm jealous of.
I just think everything in life is not what you as a person do. It's what a community can do. And, together we can do so much more. I worked on a special project at a private school here in Perth for 3 years, where I also really garnered the community around the school to create opportunities for the past students. So it's just a journey that's been part of me all my life.
Chaleen, from my conversations with you as well, I've noticed that it seems you have this incredible ability that regardless of the situation, you always put a positive spin on it. Like you said, you started your group because, you were trying to figure out why no one would employ you. Where does that come from?
It's just an inner power or ability to look at things positively. And my dad always used to say, if you cry alone. And, you have to keep the bright side or being positive. That's just how I grew up, I believe. Yeah.
And for when things get tough, do you have something that you focus on, or do you have something that you do to kind of shift that perspective? Because it's all about the frame, right, and the lens through which we view life.
Definitely. So I do have my morning routine where I sit for at least half an hour.
Nice.
And I do my morning routine. I do a lot of walking nowadays.
Great.
Very long walks helps to just reframe things. I have fantastic friends that's been with me. I can call on my friends and we just, I have a friend who no matter what, she'll drop everything and then she'll just say, right, put things in perspective, have your cry. So I think it's my family and that helps me putting things in perspective.
Chaleen, you've gone out of your way to help people, even when it's not sustainable. How do you balance heart and boundaries?
I actually do have very good boundaries because if you're in recruitment, there's always a situation where people think that you will help them get a job, and that's actually not what recruiters do in Australia. We really work for our clients and we work towards filling the roles for them. So in terms of that, I really focus on consistently honoring my boundaries, and that's really how I do it.
And for someone who perhaps hasn't engaged a recruiter before, what would your words of advice be to them, or what are the steps to kind of follow?
If you haven't engaged a recruiter and you're doing your own recruitment, or you potentially find your candidate from another source, maybe a migration agent, I think I've seen so many, shall I call it, horror stories where situations go wrong. It's like trying to fix your house's electricity and not being an electrician. Recruiters work independently. We do our checks and balances. We do an assessment of the skills and particularly the type of work that we're doing. We walk the road step by step with our candidates with visa sponsorship, being able to get on shore, you need to have work rights. And if there's no recruiter or HR manager at least involved in that process, situations often tend to go wrong, unfortunately, when the candidates then finally do get on shore.
Chaleen, I'd love to know, how has business changed you?
I'm just in my happy spot when I sit at my desk.
Yeah.
It's something I live for. I enjoy. It's my life's calling. So it's definitely changed me for the better. I have wonderful clients. There are difficult days and difficult situations, but it's all part of the journey and, part of a bigger plan. So it's really how I define myself in a big way.
I am, just for our listeners, if you're not watching this in video, Chaleen lit up as she said that. That's why I was having a giggle. So you can definitely see that you're very, very passionate about it. Chaleen, you've relocated across continents and cultures. What did each move teach you about yourself?
I think the biggest lesson that I learned in China was that my way is not the only way. And it's probably the day that after a long period of a lot of negotiation and language barriers and people translating, I was insisting on having the flowers planted in the ground, and it had to have all different types of, bone meal, etc., that I suggested they should have. And this whole crowd of people came and they did it. And then when winter rolled around, all those flowers died. And the next spring we had to dig those flowers up. And I think that's the moment I realized my way or the South African way is not the only way. So it's really taught me to look at a much wider lens to the world, that there's many ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
And this is really what it's taught me. It's taught me resilience. It's taught me respect to respect all people, all cultures. And it's really, I think the biggest advantage is that my children honestly don't see the differences in religions. They don't even see the differences in people's color of their skins.
Yeah.
And this is what it's taught me, that my way is not the only way.
I think it's powerful that you can acknowledge that, because I think South Africans in particular, we kind of immigrate and we just stay in our little cliques and we only barbecue, that is, on the weekend, and we only tend to mix with other South Africans. So something for me, I've immigrated 4 times. So it's really been, pivotal to kind of integrate into the culture, get to know Kiwis, Australians, and what makes them tick as well.
Absolutely. In Beijing, where we lived for 4 years, we lived in a community of 78 different cultures.
Wow.
And we were sent there by a very big company from South Africa, and everyone sort of they felt safe within the South African and doing the barbecue. But we as a family, we just decided, no, we're going to look outside this little box. There's so much to discover. And I'm quite a adventurous type of person. So we managed to make really good Chinese friends, which is quite hard to do. And we still have those friends to this day.
Chaleen, what's one thing you wish more people were just real about in business?
Just repeat the question.
So what's one thing that you wish more people were just honest about when it comes to business?
I think more honesty in business, more being your real objectives, or what is I think also to have heart, to show you as a person and not only being the business side. But I think probably honesty. I would prefer if there was more honesty in business.
And I think something else you do really well is whilst your business is Chaleen Botha Recruitment, your personal brand that you seem to carry through your Facebook groups, through social media, through interactions with you do that really well. Yes,
I hope to think so, but I'm really looking forward. We're really excited to see how we can take the brand to the next level with the help of your company. So yes.
Chaleen, what's 1 or 2 things you're most proud of?
I think I'm most proud of my family and my children, how well they've done in Australia. And if I can add a third thing, that the business, that especially, how my husband and I work together without killing each other.
Yeah. That's always the win every day, right?
Yes.
Is there one thing you feel that recruiters could be more honest about?
I think I'd rather put it this way. Often when I speak to companies, they will say to me, that is not at all what we expected. And then I would say to them, what did you expect? And they say, no, it's a big sales talk. To us, there's not any sales talk when we talk to our clients about what we're doing and how we're doing, because we don't really have any targets that we want to meet or that we have to meet. it's really about service to us. I wish more recruiters would have been more focused on service and not having to chase those targets, because then recruiters would probably also have a better reputation.
Yeah.
I also believe that although the work, it's a lot of work and it's really tough mentally sometimes, that there should be more fairness in the whole process, especially towards clients. And I think that will then translate into recruiters seeing in a different light.
And if there's one thing I've learned with, recruiting for Design Studio Perth, it's one thing you have this job vacancy, but there's such an emotional journey that not only the candidate goes on, but you as a business owner go on as well. Like, I completely underestimated that. Like, it's such a roller coaster, right?
It definitely is. And having someone outside of your business, take care of that entire process, not only they sort of eliminates that from the process, and often by far the majority of our clients have never used a recruiter before.
Sure.
And I can see how initially they're quite nervous, and then they start to relax and they see, wow, I actually didn't realize this is all what a recruiter will do for me. And also I can focus on my business, and they're actually saving themselves a lot of energy and time and money at the end of the day.
Yeah, because it's, I think if you are I think most business owners are passionate about what they do and who they, bring onto their team and, give their baby to. So that emotional, energy is something next level. It's full on.
It definitely is. I'm currently working with an owner who's bringing someone on into his business, and potentially this person will, be quite senior, or maybe part of the business one day, and it's very hard, and it's there's so many unknowns, and the trust factor needs to be huge, and it's almost like a marriage.
Yeah, pretty much. I think you summed it up really well.
Yes.
Chaleen, would you be comfortable to share that candidate story with us about the chef?
Oh yes. Okay. So this lady applied more than 2 years ago. Believe it or not, bakers, chefs are of the hardest people to find in Australia. And this is for a company quite close to the Barrier Reef, and they award winning, and they were looking for artisan baker. I had not that many people who applied who actually met the brief, and I luckily found this lady, but she wasn't entirely an artisan baker. She's more a pastry chef, and that's often also what happens is sort of there's a meeting of minds and seeing how can we meet each other midway. So in terms of getting the job was easy, but then the whole journey of work started, and purely because it was such a long journey, because she had to do a skills assessment. Now, skills assessment is what is part of an Australian value proposition. A skills assessment is what a body does to look at what you've been doing, and they assess to see how that meets the framework, the requirements of what Australia would define as, say, a pastry chef.
Right.
So she had to start that whole journey. Now, this was sort of after COVID, and there was an extreme shortage of people who could actually do assessments. And because she was located overseas, which even complicated the matter further, eventually we the company sponsoring her here in Australia assisted her by expediting the process.
Right.
She finally went, and it's a two-pronged process. So it's number one is paperwork, and number two is where you actually have to go and present your skills, whether you're a baker or whether you're a tradesperson, you have to actually go and do the work. She said to me she had to go somewhere where she seriously felt very uncomfortable and not safe at all. So this is often what people are facing. Long story short, she also had to write English exams and prove on 4 different levels that you understand, that you can hear and, relate what you heard, writing, speaking.
Wow.
Finally meeting all the criteria. And then there's the matter of applying. It's not only yourself, it's your partner, it's your children who apply. And then there's the matter of medical examinations that you have to pass. There's many other processes that they had to go through. And for instance, during this very long process of getting a skills assess, which I mentioned, often what happens is some of the, say, your English language testing that you obtained expires and you have to go back and have to redo it. And it costs people actually a lot of money. Nowadays, people on average redo their English language test about 5 times before they pass.
Sure. And that's hard. I remember English at school. I'm from an English-speaking family, and it was always tough regardless. Yes.
And often it's these people's second language.
Yeah.
But so, and also, some of the paperwork have to be done at a police station, and sometimes they were chased away from the police station where people basically said to them, you want to leave our country, we're not prepared to assist them, or maybe not outright say it in that way, but it comes across. So that was just part of the journey. And then summarizing and collaborating all of this paperwork, this information then goes into the Department of Immigration, who assesses the situation. And also we have to prove that there's no one on shore in Australia that can actually fill that position. And I honor and respect that process, because I always believe we need to look after our own people first on shore. So having proof there's no one locally available to fill this position, it goes through the process, and it's just, there's no answers. There's no one you can ask, why is it taking so long? So then finally, after 2 years, their visa was approved. And I promise you nowadays, people, their visa is approved on the Wednesday. The next week, Thursday, Friday, they're on the flight.
Sure.
It's incredible how people just cannot wait to actually migrate and start their new life nowadays.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think this speaks to how blessed we are to live here, that people are willing to put themselves through that process, to live in Australia and to be here.
Absolutely. I just every day am so thankful to be able to live in Australia, also when I see what people are prepared to do. And I can tell you, it's not only South Africans that I work with, it's people from all over the world who wants to live in this country. It's their number one country. Often people will say to me, so yes, we are very lucky to live here.
And it's a great reminder, because I think, I've been away since 2005, and I sometimes have to catch myself. You complain about the bus being late, or complain about something. And I'm like, actually, when I went back to South Africa 2 years ago and experienced load shedding to the max, I was like, oh my word, I take for granted putting my light on. When I got home, I literally stood like a child by the light switch and was just like, it was amazing. It was so nice, because they cut the power there for hours on end. It's all over the show. So no, thank you for that reminder that we are truly blessed to live here.
Absolutely. Just also water. They have water shedding nowadays
as well.
Yes. So it's not only that. It's the crime that affects people. All people in South Africa are very much impacted by, and their unemployment. 40% unemployment.
It's extreme. Yes. So extreme. It's it's. I really love the fact that we are here and one can go for a run. I mean, of course, there's still crime and stuff, but it's by no means at the same extremities as what South Africa is.
Definitely. And, just the education we have, the facilities we have, the transport, things being on time in Australia.
Yeah.
It's in the big things and in the small things. I'm extremely proud. I cannot tell you how proud I am of the people that run this country. Politics aside, if we look at other countries, the stability we have, we're very lucky.
Chaleen, your love for your family runs deep. Can you share a moment that captures just how much they mean to you?
I think there are so many moments. It's probably when we go camping and we sit around and we play cards at night. That's such a special moment, and that we always make time for each other. We're always there for each other, celebrating our birthdays with our traditions. I think that's really what captures it for me.
Because I think as business owners, we often get so consumed by our business and our goals and our drive and all of the above. So do you find you guys like schedule out family time or like booking those camping trips in advance to make sure you kind of prioritize that?
I think that's vital to have traditions. We book our camping trips a year in advance.
Great.
To give you an example, my daughter's fiance, he's Australian. He never camped. He never ate South African sausage.
Boerewors?
Boerewors. He had very few and limited items he would eat. And I tell you, and also with our kids being in their 20s, it's unheard of that, especially teenagers and early 20s would go camping with their parents.
Yes.
We will have a riot if we don't have that annual camping trip.
Yeah, you sound like my folks. And we've been caravanning for like ever. And I remember we'd go away when we were small and mom and dad would get up at 5 a.m. And I was like, what the heck? Like it was those bunk beds, like in the old school caravans.
Yes.
And my brother and I were just like, why wake us up at this ungodly hour? And they're like, come, we're going to go. And now as an adult, I realized like 5 a.m. is the way to go, right? Get up early, get out there. And those are some of my fondest childhood memories.
Definitely. It's not in the big things. It's not in the expensive things. It's in those moments, shared moments, that really matters to kids. And that's where the memories are made.
Chaleen, you're such a deep person, and I love chatting with you. And I'd love to know, is there something about you that you'd be comfortable sharing that doesn't show up in your LinkedIn profile?
I think how I never forget where I come from. I grew up extremely poor, and although my parents taught me good values, that was very much part of our journey. And I will never forget where I come from. And I will always stay humble no matter what. And I'll always stay true to myself and never think I'm better than anyone else, because no matter what, it can be taken away tomorrow. I think that's really what I wouldn't share on my LinkedIn profile.
Well, thank you for sharing with us. Chaleen, what is one topic you really get to talk about but wish you could and can do so now?
I think it's what truly makes me happy, and we've touched on it quite a few times today. It's just that the moments I share with my candidates, honestly, and I think initially it's very professional and they see me as the recruiter that will assist them in a job, but then I go on a journey with them and then they see, but I'm really a person, and I'm myself with them, and I'm there in the worries and the concerns, and I walk the road. I think this is what makes me most happy. And why would you not want to live your life and run your business like that? Yes, I can probably make a lot more money, but I wouldn't have so much fun doing it.
I love that you share that. That's something my mentor always says to me, that you're taking someone on a journey. And I think I really underestimated that in the beginning. I mean, you focused on trying to get cash flow and all those other things. But it's like when you said that, I just thought, oh my gosh, that's what it's about, right? You're taking that other human on a journey, whether it be through recruitment, through branding, through a podcast, whatever the case may be. It's like that's a moment in time of their life that they've given you and they're trusting you that you're going to do right by them through that.
Definitely. And I promise you, I have seen it in my life that if you are yourself and you honor and respect people, the money comes, or, the income, it flows. And it's just actually so much easier when business comes to you and you don't actually have to go and chase it.
Yeah, that's another great thing that my mentor also says, lean into being Tracy Fryer, or lean into whoever it is that you are. Because I think sometimes we're so caught up in comparison and trying to be everyone else but ourselves. And I can attest to that when you do lean more into being yourself, that the financial reward and all that does definitely flow. And it's almost like you're serving from a higher level as opposed to just that, financial cash flow gain.
I think people will always very quickly see when it's not about them. I think in business you need to realize it's not about you.
Yeah.
It's about your clients. It's about them. It's got nothing to do with you. And if you're not authentically that, people will see that very easily. And that's why I love having the clients that I do who come back to me time and time again. And interestingly enough, majority of my clients are Australian, 4th, 5th, 6th generation Australians in regional Queensland. And I think it's because they are they say they breed them strong, and they are the people that will see you for who you are. Yep.
Chaleen, I know you mentioned that Carla has expressed interest in taking over the business. If there was one or even two key pieces of advice you could give her from your business journey, what would it be and why?
You never know it all. You can basically learn everything as you go. There's nothing and the other bit of advice, nothing is impossible. The only limits there are in life are the boundaries that you set yourself.
And what would your advice be to someone who was feeling quite bound by the way they view their life or the way that they view themselves? What would be your advice to them, how they can snap out of that and I guess step into that impossible, making things possible for themselves?
I think get out, get into nature, go for a walk, or just go and do something completely different, or do something with your friends. I was listening to a podcast by Mel Robbins.
Oh, I love her.
Yes, and she was speaking to an expert who said he coaches Olympians, and when they don't get the medal that they wanted, he always advised them, go and hang out with your friends and have some pizza, because that can immediately snap you out of your negativity or, being inside yourself. And then you get a chance to reflect on what happened. I would give people that advice.
I actually listened to that one, and that did stick out for me as well. It's, just getting out there, removing yourself from whatever the situation is and seeing people that you love or your friends and just actually speaking about those, what might have happened or speaking about something completely different just to snap you out of it.
Absolutely. And nothing in life lasts forever, no matter how bad something is. Once you share it with people that you trust, it's a load shared. And honestly, moving your body is the best thing you can do for yourself to snap out of that, because we all get negative. We all get down. But it's part of life. You cannot escape that.
Yeah, I completely agree with the move your body side of things. I find in the days I don't want to go run or don't want to go to gym, those are the days that I need it most. Chaleen, any final words of wisdom before we sign off? I also see you have some notes. Is there anything you'd like to discuss?
No. I think make memories, have fun, value your family, because being in business, they say that 98% of Australian business is small business. Now, small business is defined any business below $10 million turnover. So there are many small businesses. Being in a small business is extremely hard, but just never forget to have fun and to make memories and moments with your family.
Thank you for that, Chaleen. Where is the best place for our listeners to go should they wish to connect with you?
I think it's really on our website, which is my name and surname.com.
Yes. And through LinkedIn as well?
Oh, definitely through LinkedIn.
And that Facebook group.
And then Facebook, we've got a Facebook page as well where we've got over 6,000 followers. And we're on Instagram and WhatsApp.
Perfect. We'll be sure to pop all those links in the show notes as well. Chaleen, thank you so much for everything that you've shared today. Having gotten to know you over the last, 2 years, it's been great to see how you operate with so much heart and soul in everything that you do. And I just think it's absolutely wonderful.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you for what you do and doing it so well, so elegantly.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks, Chaleen.
Thank you.